حي على الفلاح.
If we were to think about the favors and bounties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, you would not be able to enumerate them. And one of the main things that concern everybody is their provision. Every day in the morning, people think about how they're going to make money, how they're going to provide for their families. But what we need to understand is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who provides for us. And for this ni'mah and this bounty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us that one of the reasons why He should be worshipped is because He's the provider. We need to understand how we should look at the rizq and how we should seek it in this dunya. There are a few matters that are important. The first being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it upon Himself to provide for everything, every creature on this earth. No human being, no one can provide for you if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't decreed that this is for you. When we are created, before we come to this world, one of the things that the angels are commanded to record and to write is what? Our rizq. So our rizq is determined, is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we shouldn't worry about something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decreed. And we should attach our hearts to Him only because He is the only rizq. And for this reason we find that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he makes it clear to us that if the whole ummah, if all the people were to come together, everyone, everybody, to benefit you with something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hadn't written it for you, they will not be able to do so. And if they all come together to try to harm you, to try to prevent something from you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written or has made it to be for you, they will not be able to do so. So everything, all of our affairs are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes it clear to us in this hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where He says that there is no soul that will die until its provision has reached it completely, fully. This means that you will not leave this world until everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you to get, until you get it all. That means that if the whole world, if anybody tries to prevent you from this rizq, they cannot do so. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed it for you. No one has control over anything except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this leads us to something else that's really important. And that is that we should understand and we should know that the provisions of this dunya, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides us with, has nothing to do with our lineage, our status, our nationality, whether we are poor or rich, smart or not. But rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives to whom He wills, and He holds back on whom He wills also. This is based upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom and His mercy, knowing His creation, that had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expanded His rizq, His provision on the earth to His servants, they would have transgressed the limits. But He sends down the amount that He wills. He is all aware of His servants and He is seeing of them. So it may be that for some people wealth will destroy them, and for others it's best that they have some wealth. So out of Allah's rahmah, His mercy and His hikmah, His wisdom, that He may decree that some people have more wealth than others. We do not know what's best for us, but Allah the Creator, the one who created us, who is more merciful to us than our mothers, has decreed what's best for us. Some people may not have much. The minute that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them something, some wealth, and they change, they become oppressors. Some of them destroy themselves. So this wealth that they thought was a bounty, and it is a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they thought it would solve their problems, it did nothing but destroy them. And it may lead them to hellfire, wal-'iyadhu billah. So know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows what's best for you. It's not about the righteousness of a person, how close they are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but rather it's based upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the most beloved creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beloved servant, worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obeyed Him. But when we look at the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we find that the Prophet, one day he left his home. Why? Because he didn't have anything to eat at his home. And when he went out, who did he find? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, who was the most beloved man to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he was out of his home for the same reason. He didn't have anything to eat. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, when he saw the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam one day on a mat, the marks were on his body. Because of this mat, it was old. And he was complaining, how is it that this is a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and this is his situation? And he looked at the other kings and what they had of the dunya. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, Ama tarda, are you not satisfied? Are you not pleased that this dunya is for them in this world and it will be for us in the akhirah? Meaning that this is not our focus. This is not what we're here in this dunya. But rather we're here to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore we shouldn't complain about every small thing. But rather we should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obey Him. For indeed this is one of the causes of the rizq. Another matter which is important also is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored some of His creation over others in regards to their rizq, their provision. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, some of us He has given more than others. As we mentioned, this is due to His wisdom. For this we find that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he wrote to Abi Musa al-Ash'ari, he said to him, be satisfied, be content with the provision that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. For indeed, Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, has favored some of His servants over others. This is the only thing that would bring ease to your heart. When you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given you what He thinks is best for you. And as much as we may be given, we will never be satisfied. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions in narration that if the son of Adam was given a valley of money, of wealth, then he would have wanted a third one. That nothing will fill his mouth except dirt. The son of Adam is always going to want more. Those who don't have a car, for example, they will want a car. And then when you get a car, you're going to look at someone else who has a better car than you and wish that you had that car. Those who own a apartment, they will want a villa, they will want a house. And then they want a bigger house. And then they want a house in a particular location, and so forth. If you're not satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, then you will never be satisfied. If your heart is empty, and if you don't understand this, you don't understand that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you is what's best for you, then you will never be satisfied. And when you understand that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you is the only thing that's going to reach you, it keeps you away from deceiving others, from stealing from others. Know that if you get money from an illegal way, or a way that's prohibited, this is not going to increase your wealth. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decreed how much wealth you're going to get. But you're going to sin, and you're going to be responsible for your action. And for this reason we find the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He prayed in a masjid one day, and he left his camel or his horse outside, and it had a rope on it. So he asked a young boy to hold it for him. And when Umar ibn al-Khattab went to pray, he had intended on giving it to him, giving this rope to this young boy after salah. So when he came back, he noticed that it had disappeared, and the boy had disappeared also. So he asked someone to purchase for him another one. And it happened to be that that boy who had stolen it from him was trying to sell it back to him. Had this boy waited until Umar ibn Khattab had finished the salah and tried to get it from a permissible means, he would have gotten it. But rather he stole it and took it from a way which is not permissible. So don't believe that if you steal money from somebody, or if you oppress someone, or if you take something that doesn't belong to you, that this is going to increase your wealth in any form or any way. It's not. Know that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you will only come to you, whether you like it or not, whether the whole ummah like it or not. Only that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed will come to you. There are many ways in the Sunnah or in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He informs us that will be the cause for the increase in our wealth. And one of the most important means or the ways is al-istighfar, asking Allah for forgiveness and repenting to Him. Nuh alayhi salam, he said to his people, ask forgiveness from your Lord. Ask your Lord to forgive you, for indeed He's forgiving. He will send down from the sky water abundantly, and He will provide you with wealth and children. Al-Hasan al-Basri was sitting one day, and a man came to him complaining that he was poor, he didn't have wealth. So he asked him for a solution. He said to him, Astaghfirullah, ask Allah for forgiveness. Another man came to him and complained he didn't have any children. So he answered to him, Astaghfirullah, ask Allah for forgiveness. A third man came to him, he said the same thing. His students and his companions were amazed by his answer. They asked him, why is it that you answered all of these people the same answer? And he said to them, I haven't come with something new. This is not something that I made up, but rather, did you not read the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the statement of Nuh alayhi salam, فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. So asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and repenting to Him is one of the means or the causes for Him to give us, provide us. Another important matter is to have that we rely and depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly. Tawakkul ala Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever relies on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for him. If your heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then know for sure that indeed that's sufficient. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he tells us that if you truly relied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you truly had tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then He would have provided you like He provides the bird that goes out early in the morning with an empty belly and comes back with a full one. This means that we must go out and seek the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who provides us, it doesn't mean that we just sit and wait for the sky to rain golden coins, but rather we must go out like the bird did. And this is true tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for this reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us after Salat al-Jumu'ah, that when the prayer is over, then spread on the earth and seek the provision of Allah. And remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much. Hopefully you may be successful. And we look at this verse, we'll find that this verse mentions seeking the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us to remember Him. Which means that because we are seeking this rizq, we should not forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should not distract us from the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those people who are pleased with what He has provided us with, and open ways of rizq that are halal and tayyibah, that are permissible. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in our wealth and our children. Ameen.